mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad.
Clap it up. Clap it
Your
up.
mother and father. I gotta tell y'all something. I think I said this last week. I said one of the reasons that I could never do Love Island, if I was single, if I was younger, one of the main reasons I could never do Love Island is because I could not handle the games where they rate your kissing. I'm too insecure already. There's already enough insecurities.
Brutal.
I don't need anybody telling me how good I am of a kisser.
Especially starting it off like that. How they met them that way. They're like, you suck at kissing. Welcome to the villa.
It's nothing I need to know. You understand? I don't need to know this. I was signing up to maybe find love, not to find out.
In my
how
mind,
much of a
I'm the
rating
best hockey player in the world. And
exactly.
you know what I mean? And I need to live in that ignorance
in my mind,
so
I'm
that
the best,
I can have fun.
In my mind, I'm the best kisser that's ever existed.
Kisser.
And I don't need that insecurity in my mind. I said that last week, that's the reason I could not do this show.
Yeah.
Well, the ante has been upped because now officially the reason I could never do this show is the stand on business mail game. Family, if I was one of the Love Islanders and I had to open a package of mail, potentially anonymous, telling people or telling me all the things that people hate about me, I'm done.
Well,
I would never recover from this. As a recovering people pleaser, it would send me into the ground. I can't do this. Okay?
Especially listen, anonymousness is one of those things where it's like, okay, you can kind of maybe jump to conclusions. You might be totally wrong. And actually, I think your brain would kind of protect itself by kind of hopefully assigning.
There's no protecting in my brain going on.
No, but hear me out.
I'm just an absolute
What I'm saying is if you got anonymous letters that are saying things about you, you might assign it to someone you don't like in your brain so that at least you're like, well, they suck anyways. What do they know? It's far worse to say it's anonymous and then the person just jumps out of the bush and goes, actually, it's me, which is what they did on the show.
I don't care. Listen, the thing about me, one of my toxic traits is that I want my enemies to love me. Do you understand?
Sure.
If my enemies say anything negative about me,
Right.
I'm spiraling.
Yes.
So I'm thinking that I've developed somewhat of a family in this villa.
Sure.
We've been together for weeks. We have great conversation constantly. It's familial at this point. And then I have to read out loud how you really feel about me and then debate it with you. I could never. Why did they do this?
Less. So for me, I can see both sides to why the producers want to just blow up the villa, make it entertaining, right? Because it was very entertaining. It was traumatic.
It was horrible.
But it was must-see TV.
I hated it. I hated every second of it.
So here's my thing. It was must-see TV.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep your. It was like the horrible accident you couldn't look away from. It was traumatic, insane. It was worst case scenario for everyone involved. My question is this though: why did the Islanders do it that way? Were they getting paid extra in the back to be brutal? Because I'm going, why would you go out of your way to call people out that have nothing to do with your romantic, people were coming from the rafters and saying really hurtful things and then would be outed. And then I'm just going, what's in it for you here? You don't win anything. There was no winner in this game.
Well, clearly there are tensions in the villa that have been brewing, especially there's a couple dynamics that have been brewing. So people want to share their thoughts, but to have it done in this way was so unhealthy. Here's the thing. One of my favorite things about Love Island is that yes, there's relationship drama, but the thing that always stands true is the friendship of the villa.
Yes.
That's the thing about Love Island that's always made me feel warm and cozy, that even though there's drama and there's people with the love triangles and you're like, oh no, not this person. And you're feeling all these things. What you have is the friendship. They just destroyed the friendship in this villa. And not only that, we've only got a few episodes left. I mean, we've got like a week and a half left. Yeah. And now you're leaving the villa. It's because there are no romantic connections really happening.
They keep trying to blow it up.
They're like, we need more drama. We need more drama. So like now I guess we're going to make it interpersonal with friendships. And I hated it. And I swear to God, my sweet Amaya Papaya, when I tell you, I was like,
talk about being not built for this.
Oh, this is where Amaya, I was like resonating with my dear sister Amaya, because there's no way I'd be a sobbing mess. And then I'd be like, I can't sit with these people anymore after they've torn me apart. I can't handle it, even the smallest, because again, it feels familial. Yeah. And so when they were coming for my sweet Amaya Papaya, I was punching the air watching this. I was so angry. The only part of it that made me feel okay is that it gave Olandria her moment to really go into Taylor.
We saw just a moment of her just letting it rip. And it was pretty gratifying.
It was very gratifying because...
Also just sad though.
It was, but that's the thing. You know it was devastating.
It wasn't like it ended better for her because she went off. It was like it got even worse.
It got even worse, but that was the only feeling for me through this that made me feel at least a little bit okay, that I was like, Olandria needs to be able to like speak her piece in this moment and have a damn 5 minutes to like say it how it is. So that was the only thing I was happy about.
Here's something I liked about it. Now, here's something I liked about it.
Yeah.
I will say this. The comments by the Islanders were very much related to audience questions, if that makes sense.
Sure, yes.
Like Hannah going home.
Yeah, why did Hannah go home?
Him going, why did you do that to me? Mm-hmm. We were all kind of wondering the same. Mm-hmm. We were all kind of like, as much as we love Amaya, as much as Huda is essential to the programming of the show, right?
Sure.
If I was Pepe, I would have been like, what the hell, man? Like, we actually had like a real tight bond, and then you got rid of us. And what's the explanation? That concept was kind of almost all the call outs. Austin kind of going, you kind of went hard at Jeremiah. You couldn't really win either way. You gave him a hard time when he stuck to it with her, and then you gave him a hard time when he broke it off. Like, these were all questions we would say in this podcast. We were all going like, why do they feel this way? Why are they acting this way? So I will say in that way, it was very gratifying to kind of have Taylor have to speak out and be like, what's your deal? Like, I will say it gratified my itch to be like, what are the answers to these questions?
In general, I felt like we didn't get answers. In general, I felt like everybody just was like, well, this is how I feel.
But at least someone said it.
And now we're just angry. And now everyone's just angry. There wasn't like there wasn't a mediator there, right? Ariana wasn't there as the host being like, okay, hold on a second. Like, let's figure this out. Let's dive deeper into it. It's just them just free balling.
Well, and did they free ball? It was like everyone was enemies. It was pretty wild how hard everyone went. I was not, aren't you guys friends? Like, it was not friendly.
And then the thing that just kept sending me, the only thing that made me giggle every time is that everyone had to clap as soon as everyone sat down.
There'd be like a blowout, and someone would be like, F you and your whole life. And they'd be like,
the golf clap as they
they'd be like, I don't know, I can't do this my whole life, and I don't even know. Next person's like, I never loved you.
Well, listen, when our recap comes out, I believe in the evening, the following episode will air, because we were left on a cliffhanger of Taylor being like, I picked Clarke, and everyone's mad in the villa. So I'm kind of on pins and needles how this is going to shake once the game is done. I think it's going to be really rough.
The good thing for Taylor is there was so many blowouts that at least it wasn't like him alone with, like, there was so many blowouts that I do honestly feel like his was kind of like, we all kind of knew he picked Clarke anyway, so just, assumption confirmed.
Oh, I have things to say about Taylor family. Okay, today we are covering episodes 21 through 26 of Love Island USA. And wow, a lot happened, so we got to get to it. Also, just as a heads up, family, next week, Bachelor in Paradise starts. So we're going to be...
So crazy we're already here.
We're already doing Bachelor in Paradise. That starts next week. So we're going to be recapping Bachelor in Paradise. But our schedule for next week will be this. We will be covering some Love Island episodes, and that episode will drop on Tuesday. And then our Bachelor in Paradise recap will drop on Thursday. So just as a heads up, Tuesday, you're going to get another Love Island episode. And Thursday, you're going to get your first Bachelor in Paradise recap. Very excited to see how they're handling that. There's been a lot of drama in Bachelor Nation lately that we're going to have to chat a little bit about on our Bachelor in Paradise recap. Yeah, we got to get caught up. There's been a lot that's been happening. But we've been on the island.
Listen.
We've been on the island and I'm too consumed with the island
about the whole Bachelor
to even
thing,
think about the Bachelor franchise. Okay. So let's get into this recap. But first, family, we've got to take a quick pause. So, family, after watching that Hearts on Fire game on Love Island, I immediately wanted to download a heart rate monitor app on my phone and put Evan to the test to see if I raise his heart rate with my dancing.
You know you do, baby. Come on.
I immediately needed to see this. And a few years ago, if I would have downloaded an app onto my phone for a one-time experience, I would have ended up forgetting about it, but still be paying monthly for it. That was the case until Rocket Money came along and started being my savior. I mean, with prices going up on just about everything lately, being smart with your money isn't just a good idea, it's essential. But managing subscriptions, tracking spending, and cutting costs can feel overwhelming. Luckily for you and for me and for my family, Rocket Money takes the guesswork out of it so you can easily make smart decisions. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. And let me tell you, it has become an essential part of my life since I started using Rocket Money a few years ago, okay? I rave about it to everyone I can. If you don't use Rocket Money, I don't know why, because it's a game changer and they make your life so much easier and you save money. It's a win-win-win. Rocket Money, it's just a must.
100%.
It's just a must.
Yes, Rocket Money has really become a necessity in our house. I just love how streamlined and organized it makes everything too. You see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. And for the ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them, which is a huge time saver. Bless them. Also, Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts. They help you easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track, and you can see your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Times are tight, and we've been needing to get really on top of our finances, and this feature has been huge for us, really seeing where we can pull back in our spending.
Yeah, it's been massive for us. And Rocket Money can send alerts if bills increase in price, there's unwanted spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget, which has been a great feature for me in particular. I mean, Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. They're just the best. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all of the app's premium features. And we are some of those grateful members. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Download the Rocket Money app and enter our show name, your mom and dad, in the survey so they know that we sent you. Don't wait. Download the Rocket Money app today and tell them that you heard about them from our show. Okay, let's go. Get into this. So last episode, we were left on a wild cliffhanger, episode 20, where Olandria gets eliminated, Nic gets eliminated, and then she pulls up in the car and she's like, come with me.
Right.
We had theories, about how maybe they're going to bring everyone back, which they didn't, which I really wish they would have brought everyone back. I think they would have had more love connections if they would have brought everyone back, by the way.
I agree.
By the way, I think that would have maybe saved this season a little bit as far as love goes. But of course, I was so happy that Olandria was given another shot at love.
100%.
My best friend, who doesn't know that she's my best friend. But this is what they end up doing. They put Nic and Olandria on a date.
Yes.
And I think it took them a hot minute, or at least took her a hot minute to realize that it was a date.
Right. They thought it was like just a waiting period.
They walked up and there's all these candles, a gorgeous, elaborate setup, beautiful foods and drinks. And Nic is like, this is my shot to tell Olandria how I felt this whole time. And Olandria is just like chit-chatting about the drama going on in Casa and then realizes like, oh shit. they want us to couple up and you're interested in me. She was like, what? Now, the internet has been clamoring for this. Okay. I don't know if you know, but the people say Nic Olandria. Hashtag Nic Olandria everywhere. I don't know if people use hashtags anymore. I'm an elder millennial.
But I felt old, but
it's very much giving the circle. Hashtag we want them to be in love forever. Yes. Hashtag Nic Olandria for life. Hashtag we couldn't be happier.
Yes.
The circle trademark. But the internet has been clamoring for this. Yeah. And everyone was very excited. Because
they always had the hot makeouts, right, during the games.
During the games,
and
they
Nic
always
would kind of say, like, that's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, kind of vibes. And he really did put it on. And it was really interesting because Olandria, you could tell Olandria had always kind of had him in, like, the fun friend thing. Which is like
Nicky Poo.
Like, Nicky Poo. Like, we make out and it's fun during the games. We have this fun kind of, he's fun.
Yes.
Is kind of the vibe I get from her. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because he was kind of waiting, it seemed like, to kind of, at some point try this on, because it was like he was kind of immediately not thinking about Cierra.
Well, if we go back to episode 1 or 2, I think during like the blindfold kissing, he kissed Olandria.
Exactly. He was always interested.
He was talking about like she's so beautiful. He was very curious about her always.
And so it was interesting to kind of watch her be like, oh. Like kind of just completely thrown off.
Yes.
Which I feel, if I'm being honest with you, wasn't really represented well later when it was like when Cierra was hearing about their kiss and like all this stuff. I did feel a little bit like Olandria was like pulled into a forced connection, a forced attempt connection.
Yes, for
with
sure.
Nic. Like she never even showed really interest. He was pursuing her kind of like very intensely. He was like, I think you're the most beautiful one I've ever seen in my life. I think you're amazing. I've wanted to do this. Like, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a 50-50 thing at all.
No.
So when later on it was like, by the way, we kissed, by the way, there's nothing there. I did feel like Cierra could have benefited from a little clarity, being like, by the way, he pursued me. By the way, I kind of gave in to the fact that like, I think Taylor's with another girl now. By the way, I think Cierra might be with another guy now. So we just kind of said, hey, who knows? You know what I'm saying?
I'll just say this. If Nic and Cierra leave the villa together, I think Cierra will find it interesting how intense Nic was about it, especially like in the ITM moments where he was like, I've always been interested in her. I find her to be the most beautiful woman I've ever seen from day one. And he like really put it on. And then when Cierra heard about it later, it was kind of brushed off as like, hey, we had to couple up to stay in the villa together, which again, I agree with you. On Olandria's end, Olandria was just like, I'm trying to get back in the villa and get eyes on Taylor and like participate in this. I guess we
kind of have to do this because this is kind of how the show set us up. So let's try, I guess. But
and I'm sorry, everybody, because I know this is an unpopular opinion because everyone was like, Nic Olandria, Nic Olandria. I don't think Nic's good enough for Olandria. Okay. I was so happy that Queen Olandria got the love and admiration that is deserved, being told that she's the most beautiful woman in the world, having someone like pursue her, that she got to go back into the villa and have someone who was like very interested in her as she re-entered. I was happy for Olandria for that purpose. But I'm sorry, Nic, it's just now when he all of a sudden confessed his like feelings about her, I'm like, is this going to be like an Amal George Clooney situation where you have the famous playboy George Clooney who meets Amal and then it's like, I'm faithful for forever. I found my queen.
When they say they can be fixed, like it does happen.
Is Olandria the queen to Nic? Because I'm sorry, I know we saw Nic finally lock it down with Cierra later in these episodes. But he's still.
But again, is that he locked it down with Cierra? Is that because
time is ticking?
Time is ticking. Is that because it didn't work out with Elan? You know what I'm saying?
Is it because Elan was paying a lot of attention to Cierra and he got upset?
None of the girls paid attention to Nic at Casa Amor vibes. Like Nic was not being heavily pursued by anyone, and he even self-admitted that later. So it's a little bit like, was it because Elan's threatening the relationship? Is it because no one was into him? Because he had no options. Yeah. So it's like, I truly believe, and I do like Nic. I think he's a fun guy.
I know. I do
think he's
too.
a nice guy.
Do too. Yeah.
Do I think he's a playboy? 100%. But I also do think that a lot of this has to do with the fact that like there were just no other options and there wasn't a lot of people clamoring to be with him.
I think my girls, Olandria and Cierra, deserve better in a partner.
Right.
And I agree with you. I do like Nic as much as I've, tried to be like, oh, Nic.
He's very likable.
He's very likable. I appreciate how honest he is in certain circumstances when it comes to friendships and those types of relationships. I think he seems like a great listening ear and a great friend.
Yes.
He's one of those people, and we have people in our life like this, where I'm like, they're an amazing friend, but I'm not going to set them up with one of my girlfriends because they're a playboy. So I'm not going to set them up with a girlfriend, but like they're a great friend.
The only thing that was confusing to me, and I still can't understand, is his relationship with Huda.
Yeah.
Because he does this thing where he's like checking in on her. He's very sensitive to her. He called out Jeremiah and like took Huda's side, but then both times tried to vote her off.
And then during the stand on
business thing, he's the one that like called her out.
Yeah.
So it's a really, I would
like
be
you don't
very,
deserve to be here.
I would be very confused if I was Huda.
Oh, for
I'd be like,
sure.
Are we best friends and you're like my ally, or do you hate me the most? I can't figure this out.
I feel like he's treating her like an older brother energy.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I'm
I
going to
hate
call
you, but I love you.
Yeah. I feel like
really
that's kind of the
strange.
energy.
I'd be like, every time I would think he's on my side as Huda, I'd be like, oh, never mind. He wants to be gone. I'm like, so confusing.
But Nic and Olandria are told, hey, they can couple up and go back into the villa. So what these producers make Olandria do is they make her go back to the villa with Nic. They sneak in the middle of the night and slip into that extra bed.
Yep.
And you see sweet Olandria like looking in the dark to see where Taylor is. Yeah. And when they wake up the next morning, the men and the new women are shook. When Nic and Olandria pop up and they're like, good morning, Islanders. Yeah. I was immediately peeved when all the men dogpiled on top of Nic and they didn't even touch Olandria. Yeah. I'm like, can you show our girl some love here?
Right. Like, now, I will say they didn't know that she was gone.
It doesn't matter. They still haven't seen her. It's still like, but you see how they act when they go, when Cierra and Nic go out on a date and then they come back.
But
everyone's
the guys were
acting
crying
like
in a heap the night before.
I understand, but it's like you see how they act when people go out on a date and are gone for 2 hours and come back. Like, can we have a little hoopla for Olandria?
I know. Well, but they were sitting in the midst of the fact that their boy was in bed with another woman. So it was definitely like, we're excited to see you. This is really awkward.
So the Taylor and Olandria situation that goes down. Oh, Evan, I was fuming. I'm fuming, and this is why I'm fuming. First of all, the fact, again, that Taylor swapped so fast, that he went from having the slow burn with Olandria to then being fully in with Clarke. And like Olandria brings up later, you did not care about my feelings, and instantly you care so much about sparing her feelings. What about me? Right. My biggest issue with Taylor in this whole thing is that he had the audacity to continue a love triangle. That Olandria shows back up, and Olandria is letting him know that even though this is so hurtful, that she's like, I want you to explore and I understand, but just know how much I'm here for you. Olandria did everything she possibly could to make herself available to Taylor and to be like, I'm putting my heart out on the line. I'm taking those sexy like solo photos for you, sneaking them in your drawer, giving him and Clarke space, having a conversation with Clarke, and being like, hey, I hear you. Telling Taylor she's beautiful. I get it. I get the connection. She seems like a wonderful girl. I so appreciated that Clarke came and talked to me. Like being the epitome of growth, like allowing someone to grow and grace and all the things. And Taylor had the audacity to keep up this love triangle when he knows what he's going to do. I don't buy for 2 seconds that Taylor was questioning whether or not he's going to keep picking Clarke throughout this.
Yeah.
Like he keeps saying, he's like, I got this feeling in me, this kid feeling, and Clarke does it for me. And he's just allowing Olandria to get strung along and putting her heart out there more than she has in this entire process, knowing what he's going to do. And that for me was like, I lost all respect. Like 100%. If he would have had the courage to go to her and basically like come in supplication and be like, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I brought you through all of this and now I found this person, but I did find this person and I'm going to pursue her, and to protect your heart, I'm just going to end things here because it's not fair for you to like keep that channel open. And instead maybe pursue other people, but that he left that flowing not only through the recoupling, but into the very end of all these episodes.
Yeah.
It was so upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of where I feel that Olandria's bad casting.
I mean, how dare you?
I don't mean in a way, I mean, she's too mature for the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everyone else is like perfectly toxic.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Which is what you need for the show, which is like Nic constantly kind of like almost committing, then kind of pulling. Ace playing the game of like, I can't show I'm too interested in you, and then another guy comes around. Now and my interest goes up. Like, you know, Taylor not really giving any physical, and then waiting, and then you know, it's like that's all that young 20s party toxicity,
right?
That like is a part of this show, and everyone kind of plays that game, and it creates that push and pull. Where Olandria was just always kind of rock solid and open, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just a little too elevated for the show, and you get bit. Because you're not playing the game. Like even like, you know, Cierra like really showing a lot of attention to
Elan.
It's like that fucked with Nic enough to make Nic hate Elan. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just enough to where you're kind of keeping these guys on their toes, and then you're keeping the girls on their toes. Everyone's but Olandria stayed way too long, in my humble opinion. She stayed way too long with Taylor. She shouldn't have. She was always convincing herself, oh, I guess we'll just take a little too long. She's too committed. She's too mature. You know what I'm saying? Like, but full honesty, that's kind of how I feel. And so you get bit.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking this is like a healthy, it's like, no, he's stringing you along until someone comes along. We call it from a mile away. There's no way you just don't make out for days if you're that interested in someone, whether he knew it or not. So for me, it's like long time coming. I just feel bad for Olandria that like it took this long and that she didn't ditch him way earlier.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because she had options.
I know.
So that's what sucks, is that like full maturity, you lose in the show.
Yeah. Well, like she said at the very end during the stand on business game, she was like, Taylor would have been gone if it weren't for me.
I know.
I would have gone with Jalen.
Exactly.
And Jalen, by the way, is out here in the real world now. I think up to like 1 million followers. The people
was
love
super
him.
dedicated.
Jalen's amazing. Bring back Jalen.
That'd be a vibe.
Oh my God, bring back Jalen. Bring him back.
I know, that'd be a vibe.
I feel like Jalen
worst case
just
scenario,
seemed
find
like,
him after the show.
Yeah, but for her during this process, like he really, really seemed like a really good guy, and I think
and he was laser focused on her.
And I think post show too. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure post show he's been nothing but wonderful, and people are obsessed with him. Like I can almost guarantee if they brought him back, he would go straight for Olandria, and they could have like a great conversation about like why. It's like, yeah, you know, Olandria is a committed, faithful woman. She put in time with Taylor, and I think that's why she ended up choosing Taylor over Jalen, because it was like, oh, I've put time and effort into this person.
But you gotta realize
but
like time doesn't matter.
oh my gosh, bring Jalen back. Please bring Jalen back for Olandria. But I mean, it was just that whole journey with them.
Tough.
It was so difficult to watch.
But I am glad at the end, though. I am glad that like her outburst in the final game made him even angrily say, "Fine, I choose Clarke." Because at least it cut her loose.
Did you notice that she clapped?
Yeah.
It was like, you did it.
It was like,
Thank
finally,
you for being,
you know what I mean?
Like, just finally saying
obviously
it
was an emotional response, but like at least it cut her loose from kind of like thinking there was still an option. Because, you know, even during the whole time, she was like, yeah, I'm going to go get my man. I was like, everyone was like, ooh, you know, it's like she couldn't see that it was it was gone. Yeah.
Well, she then had this, you know, the quote unquote romance with Nic. Sorry for all the Nic Olandria fans, but you know, Nic was out here, you know, telling her like how beautiful and how amazing she is. He even like once he got back into the villa, he told the men, he's like, hey, these are the things that Olandria told me. But by the way, Taylor, you need to talk to her. Like just so you know, Taylor, I told Olandria everything that you were up to, which is a thing that I respect about Nic.
I do respect it, but it's also like, is it your place? I mean, that's a lot of these people are doing this kind of things where they just come out of nowhere and tell everyone everything about everyone else's drama.
It's a reality TV show. It's fair game.
Okay,
He's
I'm just
trying
saying.
to protect
if
Olandria.
I was his friend, would I be tweaked by that a little bit?
But
maybe,
don't you think it's better? I don't care if you're tweaked as a friend because you're out here doing those things. And for Olandria to know going into the villa, hey, just FYI, Taylor's been talking and this is the whole thing that's going down.
Right.
Because if Nic wouldn't have told Olandria that, she would have gone into that villa blind and been like, oh my God, Taylor's fully developed a connection. I respect the fact that Nic's like, hey, I'm going to tell Olandria the shit you've been up to, and then I'm going to let you know, just FYI, I told her everything, and you need to talk to her.
Yeah.
And I think Nic's pushing Taylor was really the only reason that Taylor talked to her.
I agree.
And didn't put it off like too crazy long.
Yeah.
But Nic and Olandria, they have a game where it's Casa versus the Villa, the chemistry game, right? Yeah. And that game got wild.
Yeah, it was just like, who can make out the most passionately and beat the other team?
The games in this show get so
Dude.
Now, the beef that I will forever have is that they're saying we need to see the couples with the most chemistry. You know, the couple in Casa, the tallest guy with the shortest girl, and then couple in Villa, tallest guy with the shortest girl. Now make out. Whoever has the most chemistry wins that round.
Yeah.
Everyone in this villa translates chemistry to the most aggressive, straddling, rattle humping, smashing faces, licking like crazy. I'm like, everybody. Chemistry.
Like, can we get a little ooze here? Can we get a little vibe?
Chemistry.
Not just like
is like a feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, make it a little slower.
Lay me down energy.
You know, they're not giving you a time limit. Like, lay them down. The person who nailed it the most was Cierra.
Yes.
When Cierra laid Elan down and licked him from top to bottom and then like kissed him from behind with her arms up slowly.
Well, who
I was
won
like, that
the last
was
like
chemistry.
5 rounds? That was that Main House or Casa?
Casa. And
Casa.
Cierra was
they
involved.
They lost the first couple, but once they kind of figured out the solution, they figured out the like thing, then they did it. Then
it's
they
like,
turned it on.
You gotta make it versus the Villa.
It just was humping.
It was insanity.
It was
and then
humping.
the last one.
It was just the most sexual. They're like the most sexual quick. And
or
it's
the
like,
craziest.
They're just the craziest. Yeah.
Because the last question was who or all the couples need to make out at once.
Right.
And they were having them climbing each other like mountains.
It got weird. Like at one point it was like almost like a chicken fight. You know how they put someone on their like shoulders in like a pool? Yes. Like they're doing that. It was very strange.
Ace was directing it like a maestro, like the Godfather.
That's
and I'm
his
like,
specialty.
Ace, you're wrong on this one, my guy. Okay. But during the chemistry challenge, Nic Olandria had a moment where they were making out, and it was hot heat. These two, they make out well.
They have physical chemistry.
They've got crazy physical chemistry. So that afterwards, Nic took her to Soul Ties and was like, I think we need to figure this out outside of a challenge. And there's only one way to do that. So they start making out outside of a challenge, and immediately
they were just like,
it not only was Olandria like, I don't think it's here. I think the biggest issue for Olandria was she's like, I'm friends with Cierra.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this to Cierra and you're best friends with Taylor. Like, what are we doing right now? I can't get past that block in my mind because she's a good friend.
Yeah. And it was interesting because I do feel like she shut it down.
She did.
And I just wonder if his was like a me too versus like an actually me too. Be interesting if she would have been like, I really feel it, if he would have been like me too. So it was interesting. She led the charge on the I'm not interested. So we never really saw him truly what he felt.
When they sat down and he's like, can we talk about last night? She's like, you go first. And I noted the way in which he said it. He was like,
what do you feel?
Well, but then he'd be like, so last night that was intense. And he'd pause and wait to see her reaction.
Right.
And I feel like with us being connected to Cierra and Taylor, and he'd pause. And he was waiting, I think, to see, I agree with you, to see.
It felt more open than she was, for sure.
Yes. I think he was waiting. If she would have interrupted and been like, that was crazy chemistry,
exactly.
I think he would have been like,
maybe we should try this. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't like gangbusters, but definitely like he was more open than she was. 1,000%.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Because he was the one with the like insane attraction. So even if they don't have the best like maybe romantic chemistry, he had incredible physical chemistry to her. So that doesn't just go away. You know?
Okay, so let's talk about a few of the couples before they reunite at the villa.
Okay.
So what's happening? So we have TJ and Vanna, and then on the flip side, we have Iris and Zak with a C.
Yeah.
And you feel that both, I mean, it's pretty clear that Iris and TJ are both more into each other. They're thinking about each other. So we don't really get a lot of that energy.
Yes.
But we have Amaya, who is getting the attention of Zak K and JD at Casa.
Yes.
So she's having a little more of her moments over there, which we love to see for Amaya. And if, the guys are talking like, God, she's fire. She's so hot. And so she's kind of balancing between the two of them because JD and Huda had an essential breakup.
Yes.
After the chemistry game, JD sits down with Huda. And Evan, what the hell was that? JD had seemed like the nicest guy ever and so understanding. And then out of the clouds, he's like, smile plastered on his face, just like, that was completely your biff. Like, you really messed that up. And if it wouldn't have been for you, like, we really would have done well.
Yeah, you're like, it's like you kind of realize he has a perma smile.
It's the perma smile.
Where you're like thinking he's being nice, but he's just actually, that's just how he talks with a smile.
He's like a doctor with a bedside manner with a smile. It's just like, you have 5 days left.
Yeah,
and
you're like, whoa, geez, okay, I thought the smile was actually happening. It's just your mouth.
It literally was like that. I'm like, I thought he was a sweet guy. And the way that he all of a sudden just like said a bunch of like hurtful things to her out of the clouds.
She was just like, well, bye, fuck off. And then he's like, bye. And it was just like, oh.
And she's like, peace out.
What happened?
And shout out to Huda. She walked away.
She didn't fly off.
And she told the women, she's like, I've got growth. I wanted to go off on him and I did it. Yes. She removed herself from the situation, and we say bravo.
But it came from a dominant thing, right? It was like,
yes.
He goes, yeah, you're way too dominant. And she's like, well, I know I'm not dominant. I just, I need a guy who's strong. And he's like, no, you're way too dominant. Like, that's gross.
She's like, well, maybe you should get someone submissive.
Yeah. And so it was like a weird, like offensive dominant thing he said. And then she was like really turned off by it. And then they didn't like reconcile. He didn't go like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. He's like, yeah, you're crazy. You're too dominant. And she's like, oh, geez.
Also, JD was the one who like in ITMs and beforehand was like, I'm looking for a woman that has like fire to her. And I'm like, JD, what do you want, dude?
It was just super weird.
What do you want?
Super weird.
But also during the chemistry challenge, so JD runs off. He's trying to court Amaya essentially. During the chemistry challenge, Huda was having a moment with Chris.
Right.
And Chris in ITMs was like, whoa, she just got on my radar.
Yeah.
Because we all know if Huda can do something well, it's give it in those challenges. There is no one who can give it in the challenges like Huda. No one dances max. I mean, Huda gives it her all in a championship form.
Yeah. And she pushes and she once she kind of sets her sights too, she does the Pepe thing too, where she's like, she starts flirting and kind of intensely. She kind of goes after the guys too.
Pepe?
Remember when she hit on Pepe really hard?
Oh, I thought you were saying Pepe does that. No. And I was like, I feel like Pepe is pretty low.
No. I'm saying she did the same thing she did to Pepe, which is kind of cornered them. And was like, I might see you as an option. Let's go.
So that then brings, Chelley is coupled up with Chris.
Right.
And on the flip side, Ace is coupled up with Coco. That seems to be going well, but he's, I don't know, Chelley, Coco, doing the very typical Ace thing, which is anytime anyone comes into the villa, he's like, well...
He's the options open king.
He's the options open king. But Chelley is really hitting it off with Chris.
Yes.
Without talking to Chelley, Huda starts chatting it up with Chris.
Right.
And puts her thoughts and intentions out there. Okay?
Second time she's done this.
Okay. So here's the thing. She ends up then right before they get called and told that they're going to have a recoupling. Everybody's going back to the villa. In that moment, Huda then pulls Chelley and essentially says, hey, just FYI, I've been chatting it up with Chris, but I'm doing it for you because I know Ace and Chris are of interest to you. Yeah. So like, it's for you. Which is not the case. And you know what? Maybe it's part of the case. Maybe it's like, hey, I am into Chris. Chris is really my only option right now because JD and I didn't work out. But, if you want to keep getting to know Chris too, like we can both keep getting to know him. And listen, it's all fair game.
100%.
Right? Like they're single. We can all get to know each other. The issue is that, like you said, this has happened numerous times at this point.
It's also just like, it's subtle movements. It's not big swings. It's subtle movements. Hey, I'm single. Hey, Hannah, I love you so much. there's no one else in this villa. I'm kind of interested. To be honest with you, I'm kind of attracted to Pepe. Is it okay if I just chat with him?
Yeah, just a conversation.
Hey, Chelley, I'm not really into anybody else in this thing. Can I talk to Chris? Is that cool if I just like give him a chat and just like, we're still open? Say, okay, yeah, cool. It's the like in the dark, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then you get busted and then you say stuff like, it's just a challenge. Well, that's why we're here, just to talk to people. You know what I mean? Like every time she gets busted.
I'm sorry, Hannah. I don't know how to do this. I've been locked down with someone. I don't even know what's going on.
I've been dating a guy for 2 weeks. I don't know how to do anything anymore.
Yeah,
I
Chelley, don't worry. It's for you. I'm doing it for you. It's
and
all these excuses.
The distrust. That's where people are like, that's when everyone kind of goes, oh, maybe Huda's kind of full of it. Is this like, instead of, and then she kind of sits there and cries and kind of waits for people to come up to her and go, are you okay?
Yeah.
It's like, we all know this kind of person, and this person, it's like, you love them, but you also just can't trust them. And that's the Huda energy. The Huda energy is like great vibes at a distance. And that's where Chelley came to later. She's like, lover, not really what I'm looking for in a friend.
Well, I saw a lot of people, like when I hopped on TikTok quick online, or a lot of people were defending Huda and saying that Chelley is being out of pocket because Chelley was in the challenges doubling down on Chris. Chelley wants to be with Chris and Ace. She's not committing. So why is it Huda's problem? Because it was a game. Like, you were also doing this. Here's my thing. I understand logically, and we'll talk about Chelley and all of that. But I understand, like, from like the logical perspective, you're like, yes, it is a game. Chelley was also interacting with Chris, and I get it. But I think what we have to really examine is, if you're in Chelley's position, how do you feel? Because this feels habitual.
Yes.
So I think it's called built up frustration, where it's like, I've watched the whole situation with you and Jeremiah, where we kept our lips and hands off of Jeremiah because you didn't want any of us touching him, because you guys were coupled up, even though you were technically not closed off.
Yes.
So we did that out of respect for you. And now once you're single, you're pulling Pepe without talking to Hannah, right? And then when you're told to talk to Hannah, there's excuses. And now you're pulling Chris without talking to me. And then you're telling me like, hey, it's for you. And then you go into the game and you're letting my main connection really have it and grinding on him,
like,
while still,
to where every single person goes like, whoa, that was
a
too far.
lot. Yes. So while people are criticizing Chelley, I'm like, I get it. Like, when you get pushed to a certain point where you're like, this person is really letting me down, and I feel sad because I felt like we had this great friendship, but now I don't feel like I can trust them, and they're making it about them, and they're like crying around the villa. And I don't know like what to do. I'm frustrated. Now, I think also a lot of Chelley's frustrations were also combined with frustration she has with Ace. So I think it was like a combination. But I completely understood where Chelley was coming from. I totally got it.
Yeah, I think it's also like, you don't know what it's like to be in that villa every single day and be dealing with this person. So I also think there's a lot of like, she has the most strikes out of everyone against the friend group. And she then comes onto your man like in a crazy inappropriate way. Then is full of excuses, and you were there for her. So at that point, you just feel really dissed and you feel like totally frustrated. So I personally think Chelley went hard, but I also think that like it was just bubbling up. It's kind of like the Olandria thing. Olandria and Chelley have like the longest wick.
Yeah, their
of
fuses
like
are
the longest
incredible.
Fuse of like dealing with bullshit. But then at some point, it's like, yo, okay, now I finally have to say something. Where Huda was flying off at the first, you know what I'm saying? It's like flying off at the first thing. So like Huda, in my opinion, deserved every bit of that and more, personally.
And I also thought too, like even when we got to the stand on business part, where then Huda was like pulling Chris to say like, didn't I tell you that you should keep exploring Chelley?
Right.
Well, okay, sure, Chris agreed with that. But at the same time, cut to the episode before where Chris brought the pancakes.
Yeah.
It's a pancake. Huda is very triggered by pancakes. Even the women were like, I think the flowers are more of an issue, not the pancakes.
Right.
But Chris brought Chelley an extra pancake and put flowers on her plate and only gave Huda one pancake. And then Huda literally sat him down and pulled him and was like, hey, you're treating me like a side hoe and I don't feel good about this, after she had told him go explore and whatever. And she knew that him and Chelley had this connection, but she's then pulling him and doing kind of the manipulative thing of like, you're making me feel this way and I'm crying. But then in the stand on business part is saying, no, I told Chris he could keep exploring you. It's like, yeah, but were you really open to that? Because as far as I can see, anytime that Chris was showing Chelley more attention, you'd get upset.
Yeah, agreed.
So I don't, so then again, from Chelley's perspective, where Chelley is feeling the frustration because of her dynamic with Ace, that she's keeping Chris and Ace both as options open. It's like from Chelley's perspective too, on top of all of this, now Chris isn't talking to her anymore. And Chelley knows it's because he's now with Huda.
Exactly.
And she's seeing Huda crying around the villa when she's, and honestly, I felt like Chelley handled it in a very mature way when Huda came up to her and said, let's talk later after the heart rate game. And Chelley said, hey, I don't want to talk to you right now because I know I'm feeling really agitated and I don't want to say things that I'm going to regret later.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk right now. And I thought that was an extremely mature boundary.
And I also thought it wasn't cool that Huda then like was telling other people that she doesn't want to talk to me, as opposed to like, she's just needs a minute to kind of breathe on it.
Huda was going around telling people she won't talk to me. It's like, no, let's give the full truth.
Right.
And the full truth is she said, I'll talk to you later, but I need a moment to just gather myself.
Also thought it was bullshit that then Huda called her out in the game.
I know.
And they hadn't talked. It's kind of like, well, if you care about this person, then you wouldn't say anything and you'd still be like, I'm here for you. Let's talk after. So she used the game to like call her out, even though she was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know. Messy.
I didn't like it. And
I just think not very trusting. Not very trustworthy.
And I just, like I said, I saw like a lot of, at least on my TikTok algorithm, I was seeing a lot of people being like, Chelley was out of pocket, Huda was in the right for this. And I just disagree because I just completely, if you, again, like you said, you don't know what it's like to be in the villa. And if you look at the track record and it's been the Huda show for a long time.
There's also that thing like where when someone comes back or someone like leaves, the person it's like who cries the most and then is the most crazy when someone's excited. Like it was kind of it was giving attention, wanting attention to, like anytime someone would like, something would happen, it was always like running in and talking the most. I don't know. It's just something about Huda, the way she moves is giving like, it's all about me and my attention. But then when I'm confronted on it, it's all about everybody else. And it's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I just, for me, I was like, dude, if I was in Chelley's circumstances, I don't know what it's like to be in the villa. I'm frustrated with my own relationship situation going on. And now I feel like you're the cause of always all the drama.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you can be trusted now because you're not being forthcoming. First of all, you're not communicating right out the gate. And then when you do communicate, it's all a bunch of excuses. Yeah. And I was thinking back to the time too, and I don't remember exactly what it was about, but there was a moment in the earlier episodes that I remember it hit me in a weird way where there was something that went down with Ace and Huda. And she was talking to the girls about it. And then she went and Huda pulled Ace. And she basically like was like, oh, you and me are good, and like put the blame on the women. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I don't remember the exact circumstance, but I remember watching it and being like, that was weird.
There's just a lot of those.
There's a lot of
even slight ones where you're just like, oh, that's kind of weird.
I resonate with what you're saying with the idea of like, it's a friend where you're like, I love them and I love being with them, but I don't feel like I can fully trust them.
It's not like she did any big atrocities.
No,
it's just the daily,
no.
like little things over time, moves where you're just like, cool, love her. You can't trust her.
Yeah.
She's one of the friends, but she's not one of my friends kind of energy.
It's going to put you on edge. And especially then if you're in a heated situation, like
insecure about your relationship,
it's going to trigger something for
sure. Of all the guys she could have done all the crazy stuff with, she could have picked anyone else except Ace, I don't know. It just felt she moves just a little shady.
Yeah.
A little shady.
Agreed. All right, let's talk about when the Islanders all return to the villa. I know we're bouncing all over the place, but let's talk about the return and the recoupling. Yeah. So when Ariana brings out all the women come with like all the new guys, and then she brings the men out with all their new partners. Yeah. They really like, it was the moment then Cierra realized that Nic was gone, how they held off Nic and Olandria. Those men are actors.
Yes.
The men of the villa are actors because
they
were watching Cierra like bawling, talking about her connection with Nic, and all the men were just standing there like reliving their grief of losing Nic. It was like not like they've been with Nic and Olandria for the past like however many days.
They loved it too. They were loving the acting.
They're like, this is my Academy Award
they get so
winning
bored
moment.
in these in the villa that they're just like any sort of drama.
Yeah, this is something that I could live for. Yeah, Ace was really just.
Those people, all these guys are trying to be famous anyway, so this is just add it to their reel.
It's part of their acting.
It's a part of their reel, yeah.
Officially, but the joy.
Yes.
When Olandria and Nic walked in was like palpable.
100%.
And Cierra ran up to Nic and was immediately like kissing him. 100%. And so Nic's like, oh, I'm good. We're locked in. And Elan's like, well, I guess that answers my question.
100%.
Which we need to talk about Cierra and Elan in a minute because I have a lot of thoughts about Elan.
Oh, okay.
But then they have the recoupling where everyone has to write down the name of the islander they want to couple up with. But to recouple, they must also have your name on their board. The people who remain are left single and vulnerable. So Austin chooses Jaden and they couple up. By the way, I don't think Jaden likes Austin at all.
Right.
I don't think Jaden. I think
really
Jaden is like super icked out by Austin.
Now I think 100% because it's like in the beginning, obviously she chose over Nic. Probably maybe it was just that Nic wasn't available, or
I think it's because Nic wasn't available.
But definitely, like the more she gets to know Austin, the more she's like,
Austin.
"Yo, this is not the vibe."
Maybe it's just her expressions.
And I love Austin too because Austin's just one of the most clueless guys on planet Earth because he keeps saying, "I've never been happier. I'm so happy. She's amazing. We're amazing." And it's like, bro, there's no world where you guys are
like I said, maybe it's just the way that she wears her expressions. But I'm like, I think she hates him.
There seems to just be no interest.
Like no interest. Like I genuinely feel the ick like resonating off of her body.
I completely agree. She's just waiting for someone new.
Well, and there might be someone new. Amaya has the choice between JD and Zak. She chooses Zak K. Mm-hmm. JD's left single. Pepe chooses Grayson. Andreina chooses Bryan. Mm-hmm. TJ chooses Iris. And so Vanna and Zak C are both single. Mm-hmm. Ace between Coco and Chelley. Chelley gets up for Ace. Yes. So Chelley chooses Ace over Chris, and then Ace and Chelley end up coupling up. And Ace is like, I miss Chelley every single day.
Yeah.
So that was a moment where I was like, are we finally, I know we've done this 500 times, but like, are we finally locking it in with Chelley and Ace?
Right.
Not so. Huda then chooses Chris. Cierra chooses Nic, Elan's single, and Taylor ends up choosing Clarke over Olandria. Yeah. Amaya, bless our Amaya Papaya.
I know.
Taylor, are you serious?
I mean, her just standing up and just being like, how could you do this to us? It was unhinged.
That was all that I want from a friend. Like that moment of Amaya standing up and like yelling at Taylor was all I want from a girlfriend. Like when I'm in a situation like that Amaya would be like behind me having my back, you know that girl rolls so hard for her friends.
Amaya was literally born without the filter.
I know.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Because she's, everyone in their heads going, are you serious, Taylor? And she's going, are you serious, Taylor? Full volume.
Amaya is...
very funny.
Amaya is the complete definition to me of like pure innocence.
She's raw emotion, completely unrestricted, outward.
She just like is. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm like, I always find her, and I say the word adorable, and I don't mean that to be like a dismissive. I mean it in this like innocent. There's this like beautiful childlike wonder about her.
She doesn't even know what the word like manipulation is because she's so raw and real that it's like literally you could be married to her and you will never ever have to be like there's a secret between us.
No. She doesn't understand manipulation.
She doesn't understand secrets.
No.
She doesn't understand holding back. She doesn't understand not speaking her mind. She is just raw.
Amaya deserves and will make someone so unbelievably happy one day. That woman is so stunningly beautiful and truly has a heart of pure gold. And if someone shows up and treats her like she deserves to be treated, she will make that person the happiest. Like, imagine the joy. She wakes up the next day in the villa, she's kissing the ground. She's singing a brand new song that she's created. She's doing cartwheels and is just like, isn't today a beautiful day to be alive?
She exercises a lot of gratitude.
Yes, she does. Oh, she's just pure.
She's pure.
She's just pure. But yes, so then there's 6 Islanders, Olandria, Coco, Vanna, JD, Elan, and Zak C, who are single. And the villa gets to vote and save a woman, and Casa gets to vote and save a man. And Casa ends up saving Elan, and Nic's like, oh no. But the villa, when I tell you the rage I felt when for a moment they weren't like, duh, it's Olandria. When immediately Ace is like, well, you know, Coco did a really amazing job in her pursuit of me. I'm like, shut up, Ace. You just want options. All Ace was gunning for in that moment was another option because he knows Chris is now in the villa with Chelley, and Ace wants to keep exploring. And I'll tell you what, family, Ace now did this whole thing with Chelley where he's making her feel bad about exploring, even though he's been the king of exploration. Trust and believe. If he would have gotten his way and Coco would have stayed in that villa, 100% Ace would keep exploring things with Coco.
1000%.
No question. So the fact that Ace had the audacity later to give Chelley a hard time and be like, I chose you, and now you're exploring and trying to put boundaries on me. It's like, Ace, shut up. You wanted to keep Coco.
I don't even think he liked Coco. I think he just likes the fact that it keeps Chelley like on edge.
Yes, because he's like the number 1 explorer of all time.
Yeah, he just wants to have Chelley not feel safe so that she can feel like she needs to be with him.
Exactly. But I just want to note that. Like, do not forget later on in the episode, family, when Ace is doing the whole thing with Chelley and people are now giving Chelley a hard time. It's like, I'm sorry. Ace wanted to keep Coco, and he wanted to keep Coco not because he thinks Coco's a good person and deserves it, even though Coco seems absolutely wonderful, loved her. He wanted to keep his options open.
And I think, and it's because it was like funny. He did this whole thing like when Chelley had Chris, and it was like, he's around and he's, and then all of a sudden he gets this like false sense of bravado where he's like, I love competition. Bring it on. I'm built for this. And then he sulks the whole day.
I know. It's like, what are you talking about?
So he's literally like, I can't wait for this. I'm going to take him on. It's going to be, I'm going to wreck him. I never lose, he says. And then he sulks until the game, and then gets mad at Chelley. It's like, okay, bro, you saying you love this is so bold.
And the second that Chelley is a little bit like, well, I'm still exploring, you're like, you give up.
He's like, oh, I don't like it.
He gives up.
Yeah, he gives
He's
up.
just like, I guess we're not meant to
what
be.
Happened to
and
Mr.
it's like,
Competition?
What happened to the game, my guy?
Mr. I never lose.
My gosh. So when they weren't immediately like, it needs to be Olandria, I was raging. Thank God Nic was there and was like, I'm sorry, but Olandria needs to stay. She deserves to say, sorry, Taylor, like, get a grip. And I also was just like, these new women were really bugging me because I get that they've now made friends with the other women, the other new women, but like, ladies, have a heart. Olandria came in. She was so nice to all of you. She didn't like come for Clarke. She wasn't making Clarke's life difficult by any stretch of the imagination, even though Clarke was the new one who broke then Olandria's heart with Taylor. She's been wonderful. I'm like, ladies, have a heart for a moment. And think about also, too, that America is in love with Olandria. You all know this. So let her stay.
Yeah.
Oh, it was getting me mad.
It was just a lot of like, I came in with them, I have to protect them energy.
No, get out of here. Grayson was Grayson rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, there was a little bit of like, well, I don't know. I agree with you guys, but I have to ride with her because she was my friend. She just said something like that.
But Grayson was like really like vocal in that circle. And I was like,
who are you again?
I'm just like, dude.
You just got here. Chill.
Grayson rubs me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie. But thank God they end up saving the villa saves Olandria.
Yeah.
So after all of this, the recoupling happens. We have a dynamic going on with Andreina and Bryan, where Andreina lets Bryan know, hey, just FYI, I know we chose each other, but I'm still exploring. Right. And Bryan's like, fine by me. He's then telling all the guys.
The conversation's fallen off. We
don't
really have the chemistry
anymore. He's boring me now.
Yeah.
The chemistry's not there anymore. Right. So Bryan starts pursuing Jaden. Bryan says a thing over and over again, and it just is wild to me. He's like, so what's your type? She goes, tall, dark, and handsome. He goes, that's me, and I have tattoos.
Yeah, and I have tattoos is crazy. Like, it's a personality type. You just go get tattoos, right? Like tomorrow. Like anyone can just go get tattoos. It's not. It doesn't mean anything.
But then he's telling Chris later, he's like, yeah, Jaden said her type's tall, dark, and handsome, which is me. I'm like, it's so wild to like say that about yourself.
Side note, I randomly saw online this guy do a deep dive on some of the cast members' tattoos.
Oh, really?
Insane. Real quick, Austin.
Yeah.
They're like, at first it looks normal, and you see 2 cupids.
Yeah.
Right? And you see like mom.
Yeah.
And a little heart mom.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this cupid has a bow and arrow. Then they go over to the other cupid. The other cupid is holding like a machine gun.
Shut up.
So it's like, it doesn't even make, it's like so weird.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Right? So it's like, I don't know what that is.
It makes me feel sick.
So it's like a cupid with like a real gun, like not like another arrow, like a weird gun. Okay. Then they go over to,
I'm telling you, Austin is just no go.
Then they go over to Pepe's tattoos.
Yeah.
And
don't ruin Pepe.
He has a lot of tattoos, and they zoom in, and the guy wasn't like roasting him, but in my mind, I was roasting him. His entire shoulder, all the way down his arm, is Heath Ledger as the Joker taking his mask off, and then it just says ha 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 all the way down his arm.
Oh, well, that's wild.
And it's just like,
I mean, I guess if you're a huge DC fan.
No. Here's the issue. Being big into the Joker is one of the great bad taste in anything good. You know what I'm saying?
The Joker.
No, we all love the Joker. It's great, but it is by far the most played out thing. Every guy ever was the Joker for like 10 summers, or sorry, 10 Halloweens. So if you have that tattooed on you, that is, in my mind, insane. I love Pepe. That's insane. Like, you want to go in there, give me a big Joker with saying ha ha. It's like, why?
Imagine if the Joker that he used wasn't Heath Ledger. He did Jared Leto. That would be worse.
But I just thought that was insane. So anyway, continue. Just thought it was funny.
Well, I was dying out over Bryan being like, I'm tall, dark, and handsome. It's just so wild to be like, I'm gorgeous,
and I have tattoos
correct?
too. It's like,
it's like at one point when Chris and Huda were talking, and Huda's just like, why is everyone always mad at me? Like, why is it always my fault? And then she's like, would it be easier if I was ugly? I laughed
that was really
so
funny.
Hard.
There's nothing better than when you call yourself hot. It's one of my all-time favorite things when people are just like, I just wish I was ugly like you so that I could live a normal life. Or, like, just that was basically what she was saying. Just like,
it was like, yes, clearly you all are stunning, but just to say it makes me giggle. It just makes me giggle. So Bryan's chatting it up with Jaden, and then Andreina is like, I've got my eyes on Pepe. I've got a crush on Pepe. So at one point, Andreina ends up pulling Pepe, and she's like, hey.
Big crush on Pepe. She
was crush on Pepe.
Watering at the mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, any interest, between you and me maybe exploring? And Pepe shut it down so fast.
And she said in the interview, she goes, I just got friend zoned. Like, I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, look at her, right? Like, she's never
been friend zoned.
No one's ever friend zoned her.
No.
And it was just funny to watch her be like, the computer is breaking.
It's not computing. It's like,
I'm not. Did a man just turn me down? Because last time I checked, that is impossible.
But Pepe said to her, he's like, hey,
no, you're great.
He was just like, hey, you're wonderful, but just out of respect, I'm exploring things with Grayson right now, and I want to stay focused on that. Later on in the Stand on Your Business game, everyone was giving him shit about like the fact that they're like, oh, you're not into Grayson.
Yeah.
I did not get that at all, Evan. Call me a Pepe stan, but I'm like, from my perspective, yes. Does Pepe need to have a conversation with Grayson?
That was the only thing I would say. Is it was a surprise.
No, Pepe needs to have a conversation with Grayson and been like, hey,
I'm trying,
but it's just not working. But like, to blame Pepe for having lost Hannah and then recoupling with someone and trying to get to know them, and then also being respectful by like shutting down other connections by saying like, hey, I'd like to focus on one connection at a time.
By far the most solid guy
and everyone's giving him shit, being like, you should be exploring more. And it's like, you know what? I appreciate the way that Pepe is respecting his own boundaries by being like, I like to get to know one person at a time and respect that connection in the moment, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, that's just the way that he moves, and he's been so respectful this whole time.
I think he should have gone with someone who looked totally different. I think he was... I think he was trying to replace
Hannah.
Yes.
So he goes for another blonde.
That's what I think it was. I think it was like Hannah 2.0. And I think he was trying to replace her. I think he was really attracted to her because he just had Hannah.
Yeah.
I think his best shot should have been, someone totally different to kind of cleanse the palate. Because I think that's what messed him. I think he was looking at Hannah every day with, what's her name? I just blanked on her name.
Grayson.
With Grayson. I think Grayson was like, you know what I mean? So I think that's where he got screwed a little bit. But.
Well, I just didn't understand why they were choosing to give Pepe so much shit. I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of people in this villa. I did feel bad a little bit for Grayson, though, to be like sitting up there being like, oh, I guess we're not connected and I guess you don't like me. That was the only thing I felt like he kind of just maybe should have had a quick convo before. Trust me,
been like, hey, I don't think we're there.
I completely agree. Yeah. I also, though, think that she was saying to the ladies, she was like, it's been... She felt what he felt. She's like, it's been dying off the past couple days. I feel like being in this couple, I'm not able to explore as many. Yeah. So they both were feeling that way. It wasn't like she was over the moon about him. But I completely agree. I think he needed to have had that conversation with her first and foremost.
But of all the atrocities,
that it's like, we're going to come for Pepe. Like there's a laundry list with some of these other guys.
Pretty dang good guy.
And you're like, and he ended up having to answer a bunch of questions. And I'm like, what is the deal with Pepe?
on the chopping block here. Yeah. What is happening?
But then also we have Nic, Cierra, and Elan. Yeah. So we're going into the hearts on fire. Is that the game? The Hearts on Fire game. Yes. Yeah. Going into the Hearts on Fire game, we have Nic and Cierra, who they couple up, right? And they're opening up more with each other about how we miss each other. Cierra finds out about the whole Olandria situation. She's okay with it until Iris comes in and is like, are you sure? That's kind of crazy. I'm like, shut up, Iris. She was fine before you started making it worse. Iris had a few of those during these episodes.
Yeah, it kind of rattled her for no reason. That was kind of weird.
She would like pop in and kind of like make it messier.
It's like, if someone's not having an issue, just let it
Iris,
sit.
Just let
it's
it
not like
be.
anything's happening. Like, sure, you could have your opinion about it, and I do think there's some validity to that. I thought
agree.
I thought it would have been a little weird for me, but she handled it better than I would have, so let it go. I don't know why you're... I guess if you're... But I do have little slight forgivenesses for like, you're sitting around all day and you're just talking for hours and hours, and you are going to say some dumb shit.
I think though that Iris and TJ are feeling like they're becoming the new mom and dad of the villa.
They're just kind of boring.
And so now I think they're going to start like implementing themselves into other relationships. I think they're going to start inserting themselves because they're like a solid couple, and now it looks like they're like also maybe having sex and they're fully into each other and whatever. But I think that they're getting that kind of annoying mom and dad energy.
Right, I get it. It can be very annoying, as you can tell from us.
Right here, me and Evan. But Cierra and Nic, they have slight conversations about Elan, right? So she lets him know that he used to do the sea pancakes for her. So one of the mornings, Nic is like making her breakfast, and Elan says to Nic, don't worry, I'm not going to make her breakfast. Right. And then he sneaks up a pancake and then it's a C.
Which we know Nic is very sensitive about breakfast, because before he would like snatch the tea and he would be like really pissed.
Nic has there's something about breakfast that really triggers him.
That guy.
Evan, Elan drives me crazy.
Really?
He drives me crazy.
Oh, I really like him.
He makes me crazy.
That's nuts. I couldn't disagree more. I think he's sweet. I think he's charming. I think he's cool. I think he's nice. When he was having that conversation with Amaya Papaya, and she was just like, didn't know about anything geography wise, and he's like, no worries, and he was like being sweet with her. Like, he wasn't being like, what? Like, I felt like he's treated everyone nicely. I thought like the worst thing he did was kind of just try to get with Cierra during the game and get the heart rate up, but wasn't like too. I don't know. Personally, for me, I find him to be like awesome.
I think in conversations, when he was talking with Amaya Papaya, it was great. When he was talking to Cierra before, it was great. Elan drives me crazy because he's inserting himself in things where he has no business, in my opinion. Okay. Listen, him and Cierra were not locked in.
No.
In Casa. In fact, Cierra was very communicative with him about how she was all in on Nic, and she's like, yeah, I'm trying to open up and get to know you, but I'm all in. When he would try and have moments where he was like, hey, maybe we should try this kiss outside of the game.
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm focused on Nic, whatever. She made it so clear to him. And this man joined the villa and was acting like the two of them had been a full-blown couple, okay? The way that he continued in his conversation with other people about his pursuit of Cierra, this woman clearly has no interest. She's done, okay? And I'm all about understanding, like, hey, if you want to keep shooting your shot, keep shooting your shot. But like, Elan then had the conversation where he sat down with Nic, and Nic was like, hey, it really bugged me how you were all up on Cierra during the game. And I felt like you were like shoving it in my face. And Elan's like, well, just so you know, Cierra told me that in a perfect world, like she would explore both of us. And so I'm doing that. I'm like, that is not, stop.
I don't see that as a problem.
It was the way in which he was doing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't feel more opposite.
And he just bugs me. He just bugs me.
Wow.
And then also when Amaya was talking with Chris and he heard Amaya talking about Zak, he literally ran to Zak and was like, hey, just FYI, I heard Maya talking about you and she's like not happy with you.
Yeah.
He was like fluffing pillows to eavesdrop and then went and like told on Amaya to Zak because he's also interested in Amaya. And then he's just doing these, like, I get a little thing where he's like, hey, Nic, I'm not going to make her breakfast. And then he brings her breakfast. And then when he's like, he's not getting the hint that Sierra's like, not.
I guess I just look at it and go, what else are you doing? Like, you have no other connections. You're alone on the island. Like, you gotta hustle.
It's just a personal thing.
How are you
going
to fight against a guy who's been with a girl for like
months? I guess
months?
it's just a personal thing. And then like when Cierra and Nic came back from their date and they said that they had solid coupled up and everyone was like jumping up and down. He was like jumping up and down, standing. I don't know. I'm sorry. It just does. I just feel like he's a clinger 5,000.
Interesting.
And maybe that's a trigger for me because you know me, I'm so like, I get smothered easily.
Yeah.
So I'm like, get the hint. And with Elan, I'm like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
See, I liked that he was giving Nic a little bit of trouble. I liked that Nic was having to work a little bit and kind of like, I think Nic closed it down. I think if Elan wasn't there, they wouldn't have closed it down.
But I think it's not good that he closed it down.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I don't think Elan's a bad guy. I'm just saying that there's something about his energy that was like
so funny.
She was giving me anxiety because he was giving me Clinger 5,000 and it was like, he's not taking the hint. He thinks that he's acting like him and Cierra have this intense connection. And then even when he was talking to Olandria, he was like relating him and Cierra. And I'm like, you and Cierra don't have what Olandria and Taylor, like it's not the same thing. All right. And then I really didn't like that he like shared, like ran and told Zak about the Amaya thing. And that's just the.
But I think he was doing it for Zak. I think he was doing it for Zak to step up. That's the vibe I got. It was like, hey, Zak, by the way, I think you're kind of slacking, but I think you should get over there.
To run and go do that, it's just like, let it breathe for a second,
Listen,
dude.
I think you have a bias against him. I think it's totally valid, but I do think your points aren't super strong.
All right, well, that's just how I feel.
I think you just have a bad vibe against him.
Like I said, maybe it's just like a personal
I think that's what it is.
Me.
When someone icks you out.
He just icks me out. He just rubs me the wrong way, and I just would feel if I was Cierra, I'd feel like panicky, like, please stop. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to make this work. And then it's just the conversation with some of the guys there afterwards. It's like the bravado of like, did you see me shut down Nic? I'm kind of like, let's not big dog. Like Nic was saying, it's kind of like a dick measuring contest. And it felt that way to me.
Kind of what this whole show is.
It's just how I felt.
Agree to disagree, babe. Agree to disagree.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Hearts on Fire game. Yep. So, family, listen, coming off of the Nic and Cierra conversation, Nic tells Cierra, like, is going to start crashing out if she goes crazy on Elan. And Sierra's like, well, I don't like the idea of you kissing other women. So they agree to not do that with each other. And all the couples, everyone has like a heart monitor attached on them. And each couple comes out at a time and they dance on the different islanders to see who gets the heart rate going the most. This was the wildest game we've seen.
Bro, they went when they were doing like the three-way kissing and stuff. I was just like, holy shit.
Listen,
man.
I am far from a prude, and even I was like,
it was like, this is a lot for like
God.
22-year-olds on TV.
I was
like,
being
this
like
was
big older sister. My sister is a grown woman.
I got big. I was like big brother energy. Where I was like, you guys don't do this. This is a lot.
My sister is a grown woman, and I was like texting her, being like, Janae, you're not watching this, are you?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, when they're pulling people and doing the three-way makeouts and humps and strip tease, I was just like, oh my, you can't get more radical than this.
But they always do this heart monitor game, and it's one of my most favorite Love Island specialities.
Bullshit, by the way. There's no way those are heart monitors. They definitely
rigged,
like rig it and then like tell, oh, this person raised this person just to like get a reaction out of the partner.
Also, trust and believe, my heart would be beating the hardest with either the person that I know I shouldn't, like in my head I shouldn't be into because it's going to cause drama, because I'll be nervous, or if I'm not into somebody and they're like all over me, my heart will be pounding. Of course. So my results would come out very strange.
Just because or maybe if you were on the ground getting humped on, your heart rate is much more up than if you're just sitting comfortably, right? So there's a lot of things that can go into a heart rate.
Yeah. My answer would be weird.
Yeah.
For like
if you're hanging from a rafter, heart rate's going to be higher than if you're sitting down. So there's a lot.
But like I said, this is a Love Island speciality.
Yeah, classic.
I love the heart monitor game. It's so much fun. A few, hot moments. I mean, shout out to everybody because everybody really...
They brought it.
Everyone brought it.
They kept going up and up and up and up.
Everyone brought it. Pepe, to me, was wild.
He was wild.
Pepe.
He did the Spider-Man kiss?
No, he sat behind Cierra and was like making out with her from behind.
That was intense.
And he had on those dark angel wings, which is very much serving my book.
Sure.
So I think, to me,
and you're the
like
most
Pepe.
attracted to Pepe too, so I get it,
it wasn't that way at first, but Pepe, he's grown on. He's grown on me. But everyone wanted a piece of Cierra.
Oh my gosh.
I think almost every girl, every guy made out with her. With 100%. Cierra. And Nic was feeling really left out. He's like, the women are literally skipping me.
Yeah, they're sitting on his lap while making out with her, using him as just like a seat.
Cierra is everyone
clearly
wants a piece
in person,
of
especially too.
She's got something. I mean, not only is she just like the most stunning woman.
There must be something about her in person too that everyone is like wants to make out with her.
Watching all these women kissing other women, I was like, please make Love Island gay. Like, I swear to God, it needs to hit the island, okay? Like, where, I know I'm saying this every week, but where is the relationship with, Cierra and Chelley or like Olandria? Like, please. Make it gay. Please make it gay, please, because just this game, I was like, yes. And whenever there'd be a Cierra moment, it was like, yes. But we got a lot of drama, particularly from Chelley and Ace first, where she went hard on Chris. And she doubled down. She went back to Chris.
This is kind of where I do see a little bit of that like Ace conversation that we were talking about earlier, where it was a little bit like, yeah, you did double down. You did go hard right in his face. I don't think you could be mad that like I think he had a little bit of validity to be like, hey, that was a little much. And then you're getting mad at me for like the fact that like Huda, what am I supposed to do? Like push Huda off? Like there was a little bit of like, I get where Ace was coming from there a little bit.
I agree. And I think, again, there are the conversation is other things oriented.
Yeah.
This is where it bubbled up, but it's because there's other things looming that have been brewing, I think. But she doubled down. She went back to Chris. But like Chelley brought up later, Ace was macking with every single woman. Like Ace was going hard with every single woman.
But to Ace's point, he was saying like, I'm not making out with some people who I'm like fostering relationships with. Correct. You went in on someone you're fostering with. That's different.
I was obsessed when they pulled Amaya. The fact that Amaya, who Ace then had all the drama with, and then Amaya and Chelley had some drama, and they pulled her and they both started making out with her. Her face and her heels are completely disheveled. They're pulling her back. And Amaya's like, I love this game. Everyone's kissing Amaya, and she's she's a love bug. She just wants the love. She doesn't want this stand on business game. No, she just wants these heart monitor games. 100%. Let Amaya live in that space.
100%.
Please. But then Huda comes out, and Huda does what Huda does. She serves with that ass. You know what I mean? Like
she did the stripper like legs in the air thing, and was just all she went crazy.
That was unbelievable when she did it. That was very iconic.
Yes,
very iconic. But then Chris grabs Chelley, Huda grabs Ace, and I mean. They are going hard. And they are making out, like intimately making out, and she is humping him. And there was then one moment that I watched. She flips and it looks like The cooch is going into his face, and then we cut. So I think
they cut, and then that's when everyone went, "Oh shit!" I think because it was like clearly she just took it maybe even one more step.
I don't know what we didn't see. I don't know if she was maybe grinding her business in his face. I don't know if he stood up and he was hard. Right. That was another theory that I was thinking about. Like, but so then everybody was like, "Whoa, dude!" Like it was. Or maybe her face was on his thing. Whatever. Yeah. There was a lot of. It definitely like they cut to it and they cut away and everyone went, "Whoa!" And I think in agreement, considering that everyone was part of that game, which was wild, and then in that moment, everyone was like that was too much. Right. That we could all agree that probably that was too much. Agreed. And then Chelley's obviously very upset about it. But then once the game's done, Huda's like, Chelley's mad at me. And then, of course, they have the whole back and forth where Chelley's frustrated. So coming off of this is then when Chelley and Ace start to have their conversations. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, with the Huda situation, do I think there's a boundary with certain people that should just kind of innately be known in these games? I do. Mm-hmm. I think everyone kind of knows the idea of like, we fully let loose in the game, but there are certain people that maybe I'm going to take it a little easier on, right? Like, for instance, none of the women touched Nic. Right. I'm not saying I think they all could have touched Nic, but there was a little bit of like an understanding, and this was before Cierra and Nic were even officially closed off. Mm-hmm. So I think Huda, it's like, I am not going to like blame where you're like, oh, hey, that was so not okay. But at the same time, it's like, you should, I think, know that there are certain people that, maybe do that to somebody else. If you're going to do that, anybody else at this point,
It's like there was like two guys you can't do it to, Nic and Ace. Everybody else is wide open.
Or Huda maybe like, before you do that, swap and do it on Chelley. That would have been a great moment,
to anybody, yeah.
But what comes from that then is Chelley being upset and having the conversation with Ace. And then I think that when they had this conversation, that there was a lot, like I mentioned before, brewing for Chelley. It was like the combination of feeling disrespected by Huda, and then again publicly, so like everyone's like, that wasn't okay. And I think from Chelley's perspective, this has now happened numerous times with Ace, and I think it's important for the audience to remember that. Yeah. Numerous times in this villa time that Ace, they've seemed like they're locked in, and then Ace has publicly done something that can be considered maybe embarrassing to Chelley. Like freaking out when the new bombshell comes in and making out like mad with the new bombshell right after officially choosing Chelley, and it being like, oh, they're finally together. So it's like, this has been time after time for Chelley, so she's frustrated. So there's this idea that she's saying to him of like, hey, even though we're not closed off, I think there needs to be boundaries in the games. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, you were all over Chris, which to your point, I get. I agree. I think that she needs to then evaluate like, okay, let's be real. You were all over Chris. So I get what you're saying about wanting the boundaries, but then it takes two to tango. So maybe a conversation where you can both agree on the boundaries. My issue was with this is I think this was the moment that Ace, the best thing for him to do would have been just to sit and listen to Chelley. Chelley's struggling with feeling disrespected by her friend Huda, and she's trying to process that coming down when everyone in the villa is like, whoa, shit, that was wild. But he has to argue. Yeah. And I think that's Ace's, like, one of his biggest flaws. Yeah. Is that it's like he can't just sit and like listen to her. He has to make it a debate. And then it has to be like, well, you. And Chelley even said when she sat with him, she goes, I'm not mad at you. He could have just taken that and just sat with it and just listened to her. He was mad.
Because he felt like you choose me and then you double back on the guy.
Right.
I mean, I just see validity in both. I just feel like you're both insecure. You're both feeling lost. You're both feeling like, I thought you liked me energy. And both are pushing lines. Yeah. And so for me, it just felt like a stalemate. It didn't feel like one person was right or wrong. It just felt like two people were insecure about where they sit. I think she felt insecure about the fact that Chris pulled back. I think he felt insecure about the fact that like, I've never been more serious about her. And now she's like into exploring and that hurts my feelings. Yeah. I think it was just as simple as that.
I completely agree. Yeah. But I also think though too, where Chelley's coming from, where it all really stems from is the fact that like there's the hurt and frustration in the continued exploration.
100%.
Where it's like, I can't ever settle with Ace. And so that's why she kept saying to him, she's like, you're the one who said we need to explore. And so now I'm exploring, and now you're upset about the fact that I'm not locking it down with you. And I 100% think if Ace would have asked her to lock it down like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, she would have.
Yeah.
But because he has been the king of like every single time him and Chelley start to have it going smoothly, every time he does a couple dates for her or couples up with her, within minutes, someone new walks in and he fully puts his attention on them and then even verbalizes it to her. Hey, just FYI, I know that I did that date with you, but like I'm exploring this person. So of course, Shelley's never going to feel safe.
It's been a lot more one-sided
so
that way.
Of course she's going to want to keep a Chris around just in case, right? And she's also interested in him and whatever. But even if she wasn't, it's the same thing with Austin where it's like, hey, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm just left vulnerable up to you. I just watched what happened with my girl, Olandria.
Yeah.
Olandria went fully loyal with one person and he screwed her over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to keep my options open until you take the step to lock this down. Take a risk. And that's where it is. It's like, where's the bravery? Where's the courage to look at her and be vulnerable and be like, you might reject me. And I know you're still exploring Chris, but I want to lock it down with you. And he's not willing to.
I agree.
Because I think the ego is, and the lack of vulnerability.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't know. I just saw a lot of people, like I said, same thing with like the Huda Chelley thing, then the Chelley and Ace thing. And people like, well, you know, Ace has a point. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. She did double down with Chris. But like, I feel like with Chelley in these last 2 episodes, a lot of the audience is forgetting about the history attached to what's happening in these 2 episodes. Like, look at the history with Huda. Look at the history with Ace. Understand how she's feeling right now. You know?
100%. Yeah.
I don't know. I was just feeling like, don't come for Chelley.
Yeah.
Don't come for Chelley. So after Chelley won't talk to Huda, of course, like we said, you know, Huda is making her way sadly around the villa. You know, I will say to Huda's credit, she was doing the mope fantastic of the century, you know, getting everyone's like, coming up to everyone and being like, am I a bad person? And trying to get the attention. But to her credit on growth, because I like to shout that out, she was taking ownership. Of the fact that she's like, I really fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. And she was in ITM solo being like, I made a big mistake. So I want to give her at least credit for that in those moments where she was like, she was recognizing it. She wasn't like turning it and getting mad at Chelley. She was,
but
you know,
then during the end, she goes, well, I thought you said the game's a game, and then you're changing your opinion.
Yes. Unfortunately, it kind of went there, but you know, whatever. But
you tell she didn't agree, but she was trying to like.
But she was trying. I think she was trying. So I want to give her the credits for that. You know what I mean? Just like some gold stars for that. But as she's sad, Chris continues to comfort her. Chris has been there. He's been spending more time with Huda than he's been spending with Chelley. He's been wiping away a lot of her tears. It's all good, girl. They go to the speakeasy. He's like holding her, consoling her as she's crying and sad. And basically he lets her know, like, I just want you to be aware that I'm going in with you. Like he's not closing it off with Huda, but like I'm kind of like pushing Chelley away and I'm going in and wanting to do this with you. I think Chris has maybe a little bit of a savior complex with Huda.
Maybe.
I feel like he almost has gotten more into her, like the sadder
she's gotten. It's also weird how like later on Cierra said like, are you just into Huda to stay here? That was kind of a weird comment.
I know,
it was
that was
like,
weird.
It kind of said to me like, how could you be into Huda?
Yeah.
Which was kind of a weird
just kind of rude
comment. You know what I mean? It was definitely like a, you know.
Like, Huda's been wild in this villa. Like, don't get me wrong.
But it was weird. Like, how could you like her?
Yeah.
That was kind of the energy I got from that comment. So interesting.
But I think he's got a bit of like
he wants to be the one to take care of her energy.
I have my fingers crossed for Chris and Amaya.
Okay.
That's kind of my secret one that I want, because I feel like Chris is always kind of playful with Amaya, talking about her snoring during the stand on business. He was one of the ones who was like, you guys, this is terrible, stop, like kind of defending Amaya. He at one point was talking about how hot Amaya is. They've had some cute conversations and he's talking about how sweet she is. So I have my fingers crossed for Amaya and Chris. That's kind of my secret fingers crossed situation at the moment.
Yep.
But so those two kind of settle in as like more of a solid couple. Yeah. We see Nic and Cierra then get a date.
Yep.
Where they have a solo date.
And they lock it in.
And they officially lock it in. Cierra, shout out to Cierra at one point during the conversation. I just wanted to mention that, Nic brings up how tweaked he's been about Elan.
Yeah.
And Cierra's first question to him is she's like, is it about your ego or is it about me?
Yeah. That was very insightful.
That was so insightful.
And he's like, he should have said both.
It's like a little bit of both. But I love that she's just so...
Yeah, she's like, out of nowhere, all of a sudden you're locking me down.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, wait a second. And I think it's very valid to say it's both.
I think it's valid to say it's both too. Yeah. But they officially lock it in. So when they come back to the villa, I wish that I had a reception like that after our dates.
Yeah.
You come home.
And it's just...
Oh my God. Everyone's just losing it. And then when they find out that they've locked it in, everyone's just... the celebrations are absolutely exploding. As this is happening, before we have our stand on business mail game, Amaya and Zak K. So Amaya had obviously chosen Zak K. She's the reason that he's in this villa, really. And she is feeling sad because he has not been engaging with her at all. So really, since he's gotten there, he's only been hanging out with the boys and he hasn't been like pulling her for any chats or anything like that.
Yes.
And so she's been feeling sad. And sweet Amaya Papaya.
Story of Papaya's existence has been this.
She goes and she sits with him and she's like, hey, I just feel like you haven't been pulling me for any chats at all. And he literally says to her, you have legs. Why haven't you pulled me?
Weird thing to say to someone who just showed up to the villa.
You mean from someone who just showed up?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Like weird. It was weird to be like, you could talk to me. It's like, okay. Like weird.
Well, it's also just like, you're welcome for being in this villa.
Yeah, you're welcome for like choosing
First of all, also everything that we've seen, Amaya has pulled Zak.
Right.
She's the one always going up to Zak, pulling him for chats. To look at someone when they say, hey, it's kind of been hurting my feelings, to say, you have legs.
You know what I get?
Well, I mean, that's
this is what I think happened. This is what I think happened. I think he got
upset.
influenced by Ace and Austin.
Yeah.
And they were talking shit. And they're like, yeah, dude, she's a lot, man. Yeah. And he's, yeah, you're right. She is a lot. Yeah, she's a little crazy. Yeah. Because his energy changed. His energy changed big time from like being into her to like, you're crazy. Get away from me.
And he fully said to her, he's like, it's just your energy, man. Like,
and then even during the game,
you come in like all of a sudden we're together and like, it's too much for me. And I'll be real. She has been really mellow with Zak K.
But the same thing happened in the game. He said the same thing as the other guys were saying too, which is just like, it's not how I move. Like, you're too much. You got to chill out. And it's like, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like his words. It sounds like everyone else's words.
When Zak K spoke up about Amaya during the mail game, I saw red.
It was unnecessary.
That was so unkind. And like she said, she's like, have this conversation with me alone. Like him speaking up was so not okay. I'm sorry, Zak. Let's be real, okay? You better watch it in the villa because you're the reason that Olandria left, and now you're hurting Amaya.
Right.
You
kicked out Olandria, and now you're
America's favorites, Olandria and Amaya. You better be careful, my guy. And I know he's now chatting it up with Olandria. So now he's a little bit, and I think that's the thing with Zak too, is I think he's getting a little big for his britches where he's like, well, now Olandria is an option for me. So I can kind of just sit back and let the women come to me. I'm going to take a note from the Godfather Ace and let them come to me and be open and talk about how Amaya's too much.
Yep, agree.
Oh, it got me so mad.
Yeah, he really flipped. I used to like him. I thought he was really kind of a sweet guy. And all of a sudden, boom, he like switched up and it was like not the vibe we're going for, bro.
Not the vibe at all. But next we have the stand on business, the mail game. So basically, which we've talked about a good chunk of it, but everyone gets blank postcards and you can tell your fellow Islanders how you really feel and you can choose to sign your name or not. And Ace is like, oh, this is my shit. God. And he's so excited about it. He's like, I've been waiting to tell people. But
why would you be excited about this?
But then Ace, this is the thing with Ace, he's all big talk and then he can't handle it.
Yes.
Because as soon as Ace
came the other way,
as soon as Austin was just like, hey, what's the deal with
and he wasn't like crazy either. Like Austin's whole thing was just like, hey, I felt a little bit like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And then Ace just eviscerated him. It was like, I'm 5'10" and I have bigger balls than you will ever have at 6'5". And I was just like, jeez, bro. Like, all right. calm down, man. It's like you went at him like crazy.
But it opened up a new wound because here's Amaya. Having already Amaya got asked questions like, you are saying you cry more than needed. You try to move too fast. And she's then trying to like defend herself while all these men are coming for her. Ace is just like, you bring out the babe too fast and you got to pace it. And thank goodness Bryan stands up for her. And Bryan's just like, hey, I come from a Hispanic household, babe, mi amor. Like that's how she talks. You talk about meeting someone halfway. You meet her halfway, you guys. All you guys are just calling out Amaya constantly. How about you see it from her perspective for a second? If you watch Amaya for 2 minutes, you see that she interacts like this with everyone.
100%.
It's not just you. She just doesn't want to just marry you. She acts this way with every single person. Look at how she interacts with Ariana. Hey, Barbie, you're beautiful. You're perfect. I love you. Like, this is just the host.
Just her vibe,
That's who she is. She's a love bug, right? But then, so Amaya's already open wound.
Yep.
And then when it's Ace's turn and Austin is coming for him about Jeremiah, and then Ace is just like, I'm honest. You're the one, Austin, who is not honest about how you feel because you're telling Amaya that you're all good, and then you're talking shit about her to everyone. And poor Amaya, her eyes are so big because it's like, oh my gosh,
that was also
what was
deflection.
happening?
That wasn't what was being talked about. I thought that was a low blow. Like, they weren't talking about honesty. He was just talking about, hey, I just felt like you kind of put him in a tough position where you talk shit. Like you told him he was doing wrong both sides. What's the reason for that? And then he was just like, here's all the problems with your character. And it was just a little bit like, yo, we're not talking about that.
No. And granted, I did want to have that conversation about Austin and Amaya.
It was just a bit like, yo,
but it's like, that's not
what the question that was asked.
He did say, I see him love bombing. He was like, Andreina, did you feel like he came in hot? And she's like, yeah. He's like, okay, I think he was love bombing, But then the way that he flipped it, like you said, it was deflection, and Ace was heated.
It was the first time we saw Ace not keep his cool. He's always Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected, and he had a moment of rawness there, that's for sure.
Yes. And then the other big one, of course, was Chelley.
Yeah.
And everyone's asking, like, why do you want boundaries set during games for us both, but you want to explore with other people? Oh, that was from Ace.
Yep.
And again, this is wild to me. Like,
dude, this
putting
is
that out there with your partner.
Other people, not your partner. Don't rip your partner to shreds. People.
Have that conversation alone.
Do you want to? The people that were doing the partner to partner thing was crazy to me.
I'm like, with a friend, whatever, with other people, whatever. But when you're doing that with like an intimate relationship that you have, to have like it become a public forum.
You want to have a horrible fight? Get into a fight in front of your friends with your partner. That's the quickest way to not talk for a week. Yeah,
I think it's just that Chelley, when she was standing up there, I just felt so much hurt oozing off of Chelley. Like, there's so many things going on. And so then when everyone's like trying to come for her, and then Bryan randomly is like, why haven't you had a convo with Chris? Seems like you're avoiding. It's like, Bryan, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
If I was with the new people to the villa, I'd keep my mouth shut during this. I'm not trying to stir up anything. I'm like, whatever. I'm trying to mingle with the people and like adjust. I'm not gonna like be. Oh gosh. And like Chelley said, when it comes to the Chris thing, she's like, there were certain intentions, and now he's not even giving me eye contact or talking to me. So yeah, and on Chelley's end, I get that.
Yeah.
Chris came in, they thought that they were going to keep chatting with each other, and Chris has not been talking to Chelley at all. After the first day, he was laying it on thick with her and then stopped completely. So it's like, what? I'm not going to insert myself, like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's with Huda. He's talking to Huda.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Huda. I will say, Huda, I think the way Huda did it was probably the best. She literally would answer each question with one line, next, flip to the next card. She literally was just like, Hannah was robbed twice when she should have been dumped from the island. And she goes, I've grown a lot since I've been here, and I did great in Casa Amor. Next.
Keep it anonymous. Don't ask people who said it, because then it just gets so much more personal and dirty. But if you just keep going, keep it anonymous, keep it anonymous.
Have you been following girl code when it comes to Chris and Chelley's relationship? Are you a girl's girl? She goes, this is Love Island and no one owns anyone, especially when you're open. Next. And like, you know what?
She did the smartest move by keeping it clean.
The issues that I have with Huda, I'm not, tossing those out the window, but in this moment, I was like, giving it the one line and just being like, I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth, kind of lines you up to not have it escalate.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That was the way to do it.
And, but then when she's talking about the whole Chelley Chris thing, Olandria was like, what about you? Do you mind telling the class that you kissed him in the speakeasy?
Oh, yeah, that was
wild.
That was intense. And even Chris was like, yo, dude, like, that's not for you to do.
And like Chelley said, Chelley was like, I don't care about them kissing. And that's to me exactly what we're missing in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that I don't think Shelley's not like, how dare Huda like Chris? That's what we're missing. She's fine if they're making out. She's fine if she's pushing. It was just the fact, like she was saying, that Huda didn't talk to me. And then when she did, she said that it was for me, which isn't true. And then she walks in, she's grinding on Ace's face.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been respectful to her this whole time. Like, can we just have a mutual respect? And I feel like disrespected as a friend.
Agreed.
I think that's simply what it was. It's not that she has a problem with Huda and Chris macking or working out.
Yeah, agreed.
It was, I think she's hurt by a friend and she's hurt by Ace, who she cares about.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, there's a couple more backs and forths. Olandria, a queen. When Clarke was like, I don't like that you think that I'm just a test. And
which was a valid point.
I think it was a valid point too.
Like, hey, I felt weird when you kind of came up to me and you were like, you know, this is just a test for us. It's kind of like, I don't know, it feels offensive. So I think that was, and obviously Olandria said, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
Olandria immediately was like, hey, I so respect you for signing your name. When I say a test, I refer to everything kind of in this situation as that. But like, if that's how you felt, I so apologize. I mean, Olandria is just textbook perfection. But then Taylor went up.
And she let him have it.
And, you know, he's like, you and Olandria had a strong connection. How can that just change so quickly? He's like, well, Clarke gave me a different feeling, that kid feeling. And Olandria goes, how old are you? He was 25. She's like,
Yeah, but this was one of those sad moments where it's like, you know, you can't logic connection.
I know.
And you can't logic chemistry. And so Olandria is trying to logic it. She's trying to go, why does it make sense how this? It's like, no, it's just how it works. Like, sometimes you just meet people and there's a spark more than the other person. And as much as that sucks and as much as it doesn't make sense.
I did love, though, when Taylor read the card from Olandria and it says, stand on business and stop acting like a little bitch. Smiley face. And then they cut to Olandria and Olandria's just like this.
Yeah, it was great.
So funny.
It was great. It was like, I wonder who that's from.
Well, she signed her name. Right. She fully signed her name. And, you know, she brings up the fact that her and Taylor had a conversation where after the heart monitor game that Taylor told Olandria that he wanted to kiss her, but didn't do it to respect Clarke. And she's like, hello?
Right, what's going on?
What is happening? This man...
And that's where Taylor really fell apart. Taylor really fell apart with just how he handled all this. All he had to do was just be like, hey,
along.
You know, what he should have said after that first talk was, hey, you're amazing. You've done nothing wrong. It's all on me. There was something missing, and now I'm kind of realizing I needed that thing. And that comment would have just changed everything, but it's the whole kind of stringing her along. Yeah, I still want to pursue our connections. Yeah, it's like, I could tell he likes Clarke, but he doesn't like Clarke that much. And I think he misses his emotional connection he has with Olandria. And I think he's trying to get both. I think it's like, I need to combine these for the superhuman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. I don't feel like he's like obsessed with Clarke. I just feel like the physical thing wasn't there. And so I think he's really enjoying the physical piece. But I don't feel like him and Clarke are just like gangbusters. You know what I mean?
Well,
but then he chooses.
She says, make up your damn mind. And he says, well, since you want me to make up or someone says, make up your damn mind. And he says, well, since you want me to make up my mind, I pick Clarke.
Right.
And the episode ends. And the episode also ends on a America voting. So in this next episode, I think that's coming out tonight, if you're listening to it on this episode on Thursday, we're going to have an America voting for your favorite man and your favorite woman. So we shall see.
Very interesting.
Yes, I'm curious to see how America's feeling right now.
Probably Amaya Papaya will win favorite woman.
Of course. But we don't see, I think, who wins. It's just the bottom. The bottom 3 or 4.
They always do like with no specific order.
Yeah.
Big next up.
Big next up. I mean, this has just been so wild.
I mean, listen, guys, absolutely incredible. I will say... The no no strong couples creates for this drama. This drama is piping hot.
I know. People are super upset that there's no like love connections like there normally are. And I get that because there is something.
We have plenty of shows for that. We have plenty of shows for strong connection. We have Love Island. We have
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. We have Bachelor. We have
strong connections.
But I'm just saying, people are like, people are getting married on these shows, or at least getting engaged. What we don't have is just this, which is just pure chaos. And
drama.
I appreciate how chaotic it's been for my entertainment.
Yeah, it has been highly entertaining.
Highly entertaining.
Sure.
A lot of opinions, a lot of people disagreeing. It's fun.
It's one of my favorite things about the show is that when you, first of all, like everyone's watching it. And so when you talk to any even random person on the street, everyone has a different opinion.
Yes.
And I love that.
Like I'll talk to a buddy of mine and he's like, I can't stand that guy. I'm like, I love that guy.
Yeah, I'm loving that. Like when I look at somebody and I go, who are your favorites? And they're like all the opposite of mine. And I'm like, love this.
I'm loving this.
This is so fun to talk about.
Yeah, it shows you how different everybody is regarding these opinions, but very awesome.
Family, we love you.
Yes.
Tune in next week on Tuesday for another Love Island recap. And then on Thursday for a Bachelor in Paradise premiere episode recap. We love you all.
Love.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.